We are told by Matt Goodwin and his allies that Britain is being transformed beyond recognition, that immigration is an existential threat to our identity, our culture, even our future. But what they offer is not serious analysis. It's demographic determinism seasoned with cultural despair and at times a whiff of racial fatalism. It's Project Fear in patriotic wrapping. And let's not be misled by the rising crescendo of xenophobic alarm. Instead, we should examine the facts, understand the implications, and confront the moral panic with clarity, compassion, and competence. Britain is ageing. The Office for Budget Responsibility projects that without inward migration, our dependency ratio will become unsustainable. Simply put, we are running out of workers to pay for our pensions and our public services. The NHS, already short of 100,000 staff, survives on international labour. Our schools rely on immigrant teachers. Care homes could not function without migrant workers. To oppose immigration in this context is to accelerate national decline. It's like watching your house catch fire and refusing a hose because it wasn't made in Britain. Matt Goodwin's diagnosis ignores this fundamental arithmetic, and his fear of falling white British birth rates is presented as a civilizational collapse, but he never addresses the economic vacuum that would result from halting immigration. Cultural angst is no substitute for real honesty. Goodwin claims that white Britons may be or will be a minority by 2063. Very precise. Aside from the dubious categorization, are mixed-race children white enough, British enough? This framing implies that diversity is dilution, but British identity has always evolved. And what is British identity? If you go back to ancient Greece, and the question about what does it be to be Greek? To be Greek is to speak the language. It's not about the nation state, because there was no nation state. It's not about geographical birth rates, because that again was fluid. And maybe we have to redefine again what it is to be British, just as what it was to be Greek. There was once a panic over the Irish, then the Jews, then the Afro-Caribbeans, now Muslims. Yet Britain has absorbed and adapted precisely because Britishness is civic, not ethnic. It's about law, liberty, language, not lineage. And Goodwin's warnings about Muslims being Muslim first reveal more about his own insecurities than any empirical threat. Americans are often Christian first, Jews Jewish first. Pluralism doesn't imply disloyalty. The integration paradox that Goodwin cites is frankly a fiction. And studies from the Wolf Institute and King's College London show that British Muslims increasingly identify with the UK and participate in public life in every political party, including, of course, as we saw from Nazir Yusuf, in Reform. That participation is just not on terms dictated by conservative commentators nostalgic for monoculture. Let's address the claim that migrants are draining the system, that they come here for benefits and cost the taxpayer billions. In reality, migrants are net contributors to the Treasury. The University College London report, the Durstman et al. Report, showed that EU migrants alone contributed £20 billion more in taxes than they took out in benefits between 2000 and 2011. Non-EU migrants who came to work paid taxes, rent, VAT, and filled roles British workers are either untrained for or unwilling to take. The same will be true if Erasmus Plus takes off. The Erasmus Plus will not take student places away from indigenous students. Erasmus Plus will ensure that universities have the funds to continue to function. The idea that welfare is being stolen by foreigners is economic paranoia dressed as nationalism. It isn't migrants who created housing shortages, squeezed school, or hollowed out local councils. It's domestic underinvestment and austerity. As for small boats, this is not a migration issue, but a failure of safe routes and an absurdity in the Home Office. People do not cross the channel in inflatables for a better salad bar. They do so out of desperation. Conflating refugees with foreign criminals is morally repugnant and factually wrong, particularly when those foreigners only know people who are in effect traffickers or smugglers. They don't know, and they can't tell the difference between a smuggler and an authority figure. Britain didn't become great by closing its doors. Our empire was built on global movement, global movement of goods, of ideas, and yes, of people. We welcomed Huguenots, kinder transport children, Ugandan Asians. Migration built Britain all the way back from the Norman conquests, from the Viking attacks, its economy, its cuisine, its NHS, its pluralism, its language. What Goodwin calls cultural transformation is simply the continuation of that story, and yet he frames this as a loss. But what exactly is being lost? Curry, Caribbean festivals, Afrobeat, Polish plumbers, are these not now part of British life? We must also ask, who benefits from this fear? Not the worker priced out of housing by landlord monopolies, not the teacher in an underfunded school. The scapegoating of immigrants is political misdirection, a trick that absolves failure and stokes resentment. Matthew Goodwin's apocalyptic vision of a country in demographic freefall is not scholarship, it is stage-managed fear. It appeals to nostalgia, not to reality, and it distracts from the truth that migration is not Britain's downfall, it is its insurance policy. The real crisis is not immigration, but imagination. The ability of some to envisage a nation that is stronger for being plural, not weaker. And if that sounds idealistic or woke, I suggest it's more grounded in the facts than Goodwin's fever dream. Migration is not a threat to be managed. It's a resource to be harnessed. It's time we stopped whispering the truth and started shouting it. We need migration to save our country. And without migration, we have to rely on a population increase, but that is not going to happen with any great suddenness. And in the meantime, we have to fill the gap. And the only way to fill the gap is with people who are well disposed to us and want to come and live with us and share our standards, share our life, and mould our future. And that is the only way forward. And a lot of the people who are doing that are probably unskilled workers, who are nevertheless, and this is the crunch, they are going to pay tax. And people who come into the country quite suddenly as grown young men, young women, they're going to pay tax, and we don't have to pay for their education. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go back to their own country, to the country that they came from, and they're going to take with them the things that they learned here. One of the things I found so fascinating in the last year doing some research into housing standards in Albania is how British housing standards have crept into the way towns and villages are built in northern Albania in the mountainsides, because the people who have been in Britain have gone back there and have taken those principles back with them. This is a plus. The migrants who come here act as our ambassadors if we get it right. If, of course, we throw them out, if we take the money from students and then throw them out the moment they've got their degree, or we treat migrants with such ferocious hostility, when they go back to their own country, they're not going to be ambassadors for Britain. We either want to be nurturing friendship. Actually, there isn't a choice. We want to be nurturing friendship across the world. And one way to do that is with the soft power of our response to migration. We need it. We just have to recognize that fact.